Hello and welcome to another Tribal Council on Survivor Hamilton Old Meets New. We're here with Tendua Tribe. As you can see from the image, John won Thursday's immunity challenge, meaning that he could not get any votes today. And we're going to talk to the group here, but I did want to start with John. Obviously, you won immunity, which is great, but you're also the only player left in the game who hasn't received a vote against, which is pretty cool, except given the fact that Sharon, especially given the fact that Sharon was the first person to call you out a little bit in her played video. So I wanted to ask kind of how are you feeling going into this vote, especially with immunity around your neck?
Anytime you have immunity, it's good, right? Like, whether it's you've been called out or not, right? I think it just puts a bit of ease into your mind, especially when you're working with all kinds of people. You never know what kind of information people are trying to get from you. So especially with like, it's not like tribal immunity, it's just one-on-one, right? Every man for himself. It's always nice to have.
Right on. And did it factor into how you voted at all today? Were you willing to take a little bit more risks, or kind of what was your thought process around the vote today?
I think for the vote today, I was just trying to get enough votes. It seemed people were trying to do different things, but it seemed like people were set on getting one of us out, one of the bastards out. But you never know what happens till the votes are read. But that just seems like where it is. And I think just the way the tribe is drawn up, it just seems like they can sort of pick who they want to go after, depending on how it goes that day. So that's just the way it was today, at least.
You sound a little defeated almost.
Not necessarily defeated, but it's sort of difficult when people that talk to you that have talked to you in prior votes don't want to talk to you. So you're sort of like, okay, you're on the way out, right? But I understand, like it's part of the game, right? Mm-hmm. And so with the immunity necklace, it's safety, but at the same time, everybody's gonna have to vote somebody out, right? It's just when people want to do it, how they want to do it, and at the end of the day, everybody's playing their own game now in a sense, right? So they can't make a move that makes sense for three of us, but it doesn't make sense for them, right? So everybody's sort of trying to figure it out, and I think with immunity, you can play that game. So just trying to figure out what everybody's move is, and if their name's not on the block, they're not really going to care where it's going, essentially. As long as one of their allies is in it, or even them, they're sort of, okay, it is what it is.
Right. Thanks, John. And and one thing is I know on these videos people tend to be pretty hesitant to really be too honest, and people end up being pretty guarded. And I wanted to ask Peter, do you think that we're still in that place, or do you think, given how many people are left, that we're able to be a little bit more honest on these videos about what's going on?
I mean, that's a question for every individual, right? Like for myself, I have a pretty clear picture of what's happening today, and I think everybody who's playing the game knows what's happening. And so, if we were doing these videos as a cut sequence with like just you, like it would happen in the show, then you might say things differently than if you're playing things in real life. Like if I think back a couple of weeks, folks might have said different things in a cutscene to an anonymous cameraman that wouldn't air until after the game would play, that they might say to you in front of all of their peers.
But that makes complete sense. But it has felt a little bit, at least, that the four of you have been kind of a clear alliance and a very visible alliance from the very beginning. And are you able to let us in now at this point to how you feel the different groups in Tendua lineup? Sure.
Yeah. I mean, you have the boys, and then you've got Cox, April, and Paul from Hulu, and then you've got the Hamiltons, and then you've got Kyle and those are all kind of the groups that are jockeying for position, and like there's friction and there's tension there, and I don't think anybody really wants to give any pieces away, right? And so when nobody's giving any pieces away, then the group that's the biggest kind of becomes the target. Brian, you should definitely feel offended. I deliberately snubbed you twice.
That's okay. I'll fly under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Brian, do you kind of like that, Brian, to be left off the board a little bit?
Oh, I don't think that I don't think anyone actually forgot about me, but I find it funny, so it's all good.
Do you agree with Peter's overall assessment that there's kind of the boys or the bastards, there's folks, there's the Hamilton family still around, and then there's a few people in the middle?
Yeah, I mean, there's like the bastards of, and by the way, I have no idea where the name comes from, so I don't know.
Yeah, it always seems a little bit weird to say it, for sure.
It's self-proclaimed. So don't worry about it.
I default to like bastards with an E, like Inglorious Bastards, so it's not full like bastard. I don't know if it makes a difference, but whatever. To go back to your question, yeah, I think there's like the four bastards, and then and it's sort of been the four bastards versus everyone else, but like our alliances are very tenuous because they're all made up of smaller alliances, and other than the three Hamiltons, no one has like a really, and I guess Dave and I, no one has like those like four deadlock, that there's no chance of anyone flipping on anyone else, at least at this point in the game. So
yeah. I wanted to ask James, have you got any offers from people that wanted to work with you, but only in the scenario if you left the bastards behind? Because it seems like something that may be suggested.
I don't think it was suggested to me. I probably have suggested to other people. We're called a like yeah, I think China said this last tribal that eventually it's going to be down to few people, and then there can only be one winner, right? So as much as we're good friends and we've been friends for a long time, we do like to chirp at each other and see each other lose and get screwed over. That's why we're called bastards again. So yeah, I actually have suggested to other people, to be quite frankly. So yeah, it's never been suggested to me. I've suggested to other people. So
right on, man. Thank you. Kyle, I want to ask you about just the concepts of trying to work with a big group and stick together versus really playing an individual game. Do you think that there's a benefit to either, trying to stick with a group for vote after vote, or do you think it should kind of change and be fluid each time?
I think I don't know. I mean, I like to work like with small groups. That's my preference, because I mean, when you work with a big group, eventually numbers work against you. You need to vote inward, and that gets messy. Like that. We all know that there's like smaller sub alliances, and there's promises that people make to each other that go outside of those larger group alliances, and like when that happens, like things get messy, right? And I'll say that I respect what some of the guys are saying, but the reality of the situation is you're in that one group that keeps getting talked about. You guys have voted together every single time. So for you guys to say that you're not going to vote like as part of the group, that's horseshit. So, yeah, you guys are all sheep, man, all of you. So, spare it. But smaller group for me, definitely smaller group.
Anybody have a response to that?
Ouch! Making things personal.
Oh, it's
I got disconnected. I missed what Kyle just said.
never personal. Never personal. Just a statement of fact.
I got disconnected.
Okay, James. So Kyle was just saying that since the four of you guys have voted together every time, any conversation about you not working together is, and I quote, horseshit. Disconnected again. Did you hear that?
Sorry.
James, the quote.
His hat's blocking the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's
Let's look at recency. Let's look at recency bias. The last one. Who had a promise with Sharon that they torpedoed. So, get off your high horses, boys.
Okay. Well, another alliance that was mentioned, Graham, and I'll come to you, is you and April and Jordan, and obviously April and Jordan aren't here right now on this video. But does that make you nervous? Knowing that people are focused on those four votes being the same, that they're going to think the same thing about the three of you?
Not so much, actually. I think of the people that are still playing this game, they've got some pretty good insight into who's working with who and who has the stronger alliance. And I'm not even convinced that I have the strongest alliance with my own wife. So I think that it's entirely possible that the Hamiltons, as everybody perceives them to be, aren't really the alliance that were expected. Still working together, but maybe not as unbreakable as people initially thought.
Thanks, Graham. Brian, obviously, when Kyle talks, there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on, almost like a wrestler. Do you think that that's kind of a good thing for the game? Because obviously it can rub people the wrong way, but everyone, I think, needs to keep in mind that it is just a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to speak for everyone because I don't take literally anything in the game personal at all, and I love the gamesmanship. I mean, I grew up playing hockey pretty seriously, and like a big part of that is like chirping people like nonstop, and like I remember like growing up chirping people in like the cities around us, and then going on to play junior with those same people that like, sometimes it crosses a line a little bit, but then you become like best friends after. So I don't know if I'm the best person to answer that question, but personally, I like it and I don't take anything personal. So it's all fun. I mean, my response to Kyle would be like, you like working in a small group, but everyone around you gets sacrificed, it seems like.
That's because, that's because people don't want to put their big boy pants on. Come get some.
Fair enough.
Peter, do you have any response for what Kyle's saying about the four of you guys just obviously going to be working together until the end if they don't start taking you out?
I mean, yeah, I would say that like everyone has their own game and everybody has their own priorities, and so you can judge people by your own priorities, or however you want to take that.
Right on. Thanks, man. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm just driving.
Yeah, no worries. I don't know if you heard what we were talking about before, but about the four of you guys working together. Has it been harder to keep that up? Have you had to start thinking more about your own game versus the ones of Peter, James, and John?
We got put on the same tribe as a swap, which is in a way, sure, that's lucky, but in another way, it's unlucky. Like when you get to this stage, because if you're going to work together, then you're going to be seen as a visible group, very easily. Whereas I think we preferred to get our own way there, but we did have a lucky, easy route. So yeah, you do need to think about your own individual game when you get to this point. There's been a few big moves recently, but it can't go like that forever. Like everybody knows that.
Thanks. Kyle, do you think that there was any impact of Kobara winning so many challenges before the merge or before the tribe swap and not really getting the chance to figure out where everybody sits and kind of, and you know what I mean? You didn't really get to start playing until the swap.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's a certain level of comfort that comes with not having to talk like game or strategy with each other. I mean, we were I don't even know because it feels like forever ago, but we were like a month, right?
A whole month, yeah.
Month. So you don't need to worry about those things. We have one big vote at the beginning. It was split pretty evenly down the middle, and you don't need to think about it again. But it does give time for like partnerships to solidify and for alliances to solidify. And that that obviously has an impact later on. But when you don't, when you don't have to get messy. When you don't have to get messy, it increases paranoia when you actually do have to get messy, right?
Right.
And I think that's probably the biggest thing is like regardless of where people ended up in the split, every tribal council will bring in paranoia because there's no benchmark or baseline for it. It's so far in the past, right? So.
Right. And John, some of these players you're playing with got a lot of breaks throughout the season, but you pretty much played straight through, hitting tribal councils every week or so. Are you getting tired of it at all? Tired of all the votes over and over and over again, or is it just you just keep chugging along?
This is sort of the cards are dealt, right? So it's not like, I think, you just play the game, right? Like obviously it'd be nice to chill, but when you talk to everybody else, they were like, I'm getting bored. This is boring. Like you ask everybody in Kobar, it was nice that they didn't have to go to tribal, but they were like, I'm so bored. And then once they started going, they're like, oh man, I don't miss this at all, right? So it's just this is what happens. Like we were on the losing side, unfortunately, in Navala, and then now it's just part of the game, right? So
do you think the four of you missed an opportunity to break up a little bit earlier?
I weighed the pros and cons of it. It was, I don't know. I thought about it, and I guess for me personally, it didn't weigh the pro to vote one person out didn't make sense in my head. That's just what I personally thought. Some people gave us like actually good offers, so it was debatable. But at the same time, if we voted a bastard out, most people would just think like, okay, that person's with us anyways, right? Like, what did they do to get them to vote with us, right? Or for us to flip, right? That could have been the assumption, right? So
right.
Either way, I felt like if we voted somebody out, right? And then, that's just what my personal thinking was.
Sure. Peter, can I ask you the same question? Just, if you have considered over the past few weeks kind of the pros and cons of working with your guys?
Yeah, I mean, so Dave, when he joined our tribe, he came to me and made a pretty hard push. And like one of my priorities for the game has been, I want to operate in a way that doesn't cost me like my entire, time between the immunity challenge and tribal council every week, or every time I go to council. And so Dave comes to me and he wanted me to vote with he and Amanda against I think it was Chris. And that to me was going to be a move that was just going to make a lot of problems for me on a recurring basis, right? Like early in the game, I wanted to vote Silas out because, this was a move that was going to, I kind of saw Silas as someone who is a bit of a, someone who's going to change directions a lot because of how he had played in previous games. And so I wanted to create situations where there was kind of inertia that you could just ride for a while. And at none of the particular junctions did the benefits of like undermining an alliance, create any kind of stability for me whatsoever. And so,
Right.
it's there's a couple of times when I've been chatting with different people who are still in the game. Like I was chatting with Brian, I want to say a while ago, and I was going out for a walk with my daughter, and like that's what my priority is: going for a walk to find feathers with my daughter, and like love to scheme with you, but it is what it is.
It sounds like what you're saying is that, you only have so much time in a week or in a month or in a day. And if you want to play a lot more, play a lot harder, play a lot more frequently, then you'll be more willing to take those risks to burn your own people. But if you want to kind of set how much time you're gonna play and be a little bit more reasonable, you might as well stick with the people who you can trust.
Yeah, it was usually for me on a week-to-week basis. It was kind of like, what's a fairly safe move that we can just make a deal and then we're good to go. And and so when we were in Quivara early, that was a situation where we're winning all the challenges. It was easy, and at that point in the time, I was working with Kyle, I was working with Paul, who else? I was working with, I think, Graham, and if you can get to half, then you're golden.
Right.
And late in the game, you're in the playoffs, and there's no easy votes in the playoffs, and so
Right.
eventually you get to a spot where you've got to make some tough calls, and is what it is.
Makes sense. Kyle, can you understand that point around, if you have people you trust, you're just going to introduce a lot more risk and probably a lot more work and hours that you need to put in by taking someone else's offer and doing something different?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, can you understand Peter's point around how sticking with the people that he knew he could trust, that he had worked with in the past, is going to really create a lot less work for him than trying to take someone's crazy offer to blow up the game or blow up the tribe?
I don't think I'd fall exactly in line with it. I mean, I took his offer when I already had an idol and didn't need it, right? So, and then I voted out someone, that I didn't really want to vote out to take part in that, and it's pretty much screwed me up the ass since. So, I'll say this: like Chelsea had to make a lot of sacrifices through this game, and that's someone I trusted, and she trusted me, and she made the tough decisions when she had to do it. And I mean, I know she's gone, she's out of the game now, but that was a fluke, and she was in a good position. So I don't know. I don't think I'd agree.
Right. Graham, I saw you had a big reaction to what Kyle was saying there. Do you want to let us into what that's about?
No, it's just funny that I was probably talking about me. So it's just.
No, not probably.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm happy you're back. Happy to
be back.
So Graham, were you aware that it sounds like, you being voted out was something that Kyle and Peter maybe worked on together?
Yeah, I had heard that. I never got, I guess confirmation. But Kyle and I spoke about it, and he told me his side, and I'm like, well, I'm out anyway, so who cares?
And is that fair? Is Peter someone that you yourself had been looking at early in the game as a potential threat or a big target?
Never actually. The later we get into this game, the more you can see how good he is at challenges when he's available. And so there's the potential there that he's a threat. But as he himself mentioned on this call tonight, he's been playing a game where he's trying not to spend his entire life playing Survivor Hamilton, which is totally fair. But I think in this game, when everybody else is sort of at that level where they're talking to you all day long, it can potentially leave you a little bit behind the rest.
Right. Thanks, man. Brian, do you think that there's a benefit to have one single person who you trust the most to vote with you each time? Is that more valuable than necessarily being part of a group of 4 people where there's, people could kind of go and do their own thing? I'm probably talking about you and Dave specifically.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd rather actually be part of a group that is all together, because I think I have. I mean, it's good and bad. It's Dave is someone that I can count on, and I don't think we've ever voted apart from each other, and the nature of how Dave is right now, being with the new baby and being the time difference and stuff, he sort of relies on me to contextualize all the text and stuff going around. But that also makes him a target. If people don't want to go after me, they go after him. Instead of a group of 4 or a group of 3, like a bigger alliance. I mean, I wouldn't want a huge alliance, but I think having just 2 people that are like 100% together can sort of paint a certain picture that people want to go after. So I don't know. Like, I think there's benefits and cons of both, but I think at this point I would take a little bit lean more towards the 3-person or 4-person group.
Right. Thanks, man. James, how's your connection? Pretty good?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I had to get off of
right.
Wi-Fi. Yeah.
No worries, man. So I'm asking you, we have the top 10 just around the corner. It's looking increasingly like, one of you guys is at least going to be targeted again. If that's the case and one of you does go home, but it's not you, are you going to change at all how you play in the top 10?
Well, if one of us goes home, yeah, you have to. Like, I feel like we've been getting a lot of heat because I guess we're the biggest alliance, right? That everyone knows about. But I feel like given the choice to each of the players, like, given the choice of having maybe one person to work with that you could trust versus 3 other people, I feel like every person will take the three people, because, like, there's power in numbers. And I don't know. I don't think there's good strategy, bad strategy. There's only a strategy, and everyone's playing their own game. Some people don't have anybody that they can trust. Some people have only one person, like Brian and Dave, and and we are a group of 4 guys that we trust each other, and it's just a different strategy. And I think that like, at the end of the day, if we've all made it to the final 11, like, I feel like we've all played a good game, whether it be 1-person alliance or 5 people alliance, So I think that, yeah, I don't know. I think that given the choice, everyone would take the route of having more people in your corner. But again, answering your question, yeah, like, you have to change up your game as the numbers dwindle down, right? Like, you're not always going to have numbers on your side, and like, yeah, if, like, one of us goes home, then definitely you have to switch things up, to survive. Right. So evolve or die, right? So
yeah, man. Thanks, man.
To touch on that point, I think having the smaller group like Dave and I versus larger group, one of the things is when you're with a larger group, it sort of makes you a little complacent that you have those numbers until you start getting close. Everyone starts getting close in numbers to you. Whereas I've had sort of from the beginning, sort of like right after Silas got voted out, I was forced to work with varying groups of people and sort of have a dialogue with at least people in most of the groups, just to sort of survive the different tribes that I've been in and stuff. So that I guess would be one advantage. It sort of forces you to be more variable.
All right. Thanks, man. April, do you have your audio? Can you talk?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. If I was to tell you at the beginning of the game that you would be the last woman left, what would you have said? Would you have thought that it was likely or unlikely?
I would have thought it would have been unlikely. I honestly assumed Chelsea would, if that was going to happen, it would have been Chelsea.
Okay.
And I don't think, I honestly
yeah.
didn't think it would be this early too in the game.
Me neither, honestly. Last game that we played, it was a similar ratio, and it was a very different outcome. Are you going to, going into the top 10, do you think that you can kind of keep playing the same game that you've been playing with the same people, or do you think that you need to start kind of changing it up and making different types of moves?
I think it all depends how the vote goes, right? You kind of have to reassess every time there's a vote now, because it's such a small group of people, and several little subgroups as well. So it just all depends on who goes home, and you kind of got to get a lay of the land and figure out what's the next best move for you, right?
Right. Thanks, April. Is there anything anybody wants to add before we get to the vote?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know when I'm going on Played or if it's tonight or another time, but I do want to say this because I've watched the last three Played videos, and we've had 3 women go in a row. And in each one of them, there's been like 2 of them work with me. So in each one of them, there's been an allusion to the fact that, like, you know, like they've kind of borne the brunt of, like, you know, working with me, or like it was an unequal partnership or whatever. Like, I want to make sure that we understand for a second that, like, the only reason I'm still in the game is because of those 2 people. So the idea that like Sharon wasn't playing or that Chelsea wasn't playing, like, we need to get that out of the way right now. That's just something that's been on my mind, and I want to put that out there because, like, I don't feel like it's fair. I get a bunch of credit for all the work that they did. So,
right. Thanks, Kyle. Peter, is there anything that, you know, the rest of the tribe should consider or keep in mind going into the top 10 about how to play, or even who to trust? I'm sorry, Peter, that was for you.
Sorry, I've wiped out a little bit. What was the question?
No worries. You were spaced a little bit. I was going to say, is there anything that, you know, the rest of Tendua should keep in mind, kind of going into the top 10, kind of the final sprint, about, you know, about how to play this game and you know, what to look out for, or, you know, who to look out for?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game, and anything that happens in the game stays in the game, and yeah, that's it, man.
All right. Right on. Well, on that note, I think we should get to the votes. So, as is typical, if anyone is going to play a Hidden Immunity Idol, we would find out right now. And the result of that is no. So no one is playing a Hidden Immunity Idol today. So all the votes will count. Whoever has the most votes will become the 4th member of the jury. And hopefully it's not April, or else we'll have some trouble. So I'm going to get to the votes. Thanks for playing. Okay. First vote, Peter. Very creative, guys. Second vote, Kyle. Third vote, Peter. 2 votes, Peter. 1 vote, Kyle. Fourth vote, excuse me, Kyle. We're tied again. 2 votes for Peter, 2 votes for Kyle. 5th vote, Peter. 3 votes for Peter, 2 votes for Kyle. 6th vote, Kyle. We're tied again. 3 for Peter, 3 for Kyle. 7th vote, Peter. That's 4 for Peter, 3 for Kyle. 8th vote, Peter. That's 5 for Peter, 3 for Kyle. Ninth vote, fourth member of our jury is Peter. At 6, that's enough. By a final vote of 8-3, Peter is sent to the jury in 11th place overall. Thanks everybody for participating in the video today. Peter, sorry that you're out, but you're going to join the jury and have a say, in who wins the game. Everybody say goodbye to Peter.
See you, German.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. You're all terrible people, and I never want to see you again.
See ya, man.
Okay, take care, everybody. Peter, stick around for our short video, okay?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.